I was wrong about Texas. All right. I told you that they were going to win by 14-17. I believed that the offense was going to be able to come out, that Steve Sarkisian was going to do what he always does. He scripts excellent starts against great competition, and he has a way of throwing that first punch. They got punched, and not just once, but repeatedly. Quinn Ewers got punched over and over again. Arch came in, didn't do much to help the offense. The running game really couldn't get going. I think they had like 37 yards of offense on the ground. They converted 1 third down all night in the fourth quarter. I mean, it was just a bludgeoning from the Georgia defense. And so that was my takeaway, was that the Dogs defense won this game. Texas's offense lost this game. The Longhorns defense stood up when it absolutely needed to. And it's not like Carson Beck had a great game, but that Georgia defense, listening to Kirby Smart get to play the underdog all week long, that was exactly what the Bulldogs needed to get back on track.
Yeah, Kirby loves being an underdog. We saw that with Darth Kirby at the end there, where the lighting just made him look like a Sith Lord. That was fantastic. Mitch, do you think that game could have gotten even further away from Texas? That I left thinking they were lucky to only lose by 15.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia's offense did absolutely nothing. Credit to the Texas defense for forcing turnovers right back. I mean, for a minute there in the first half, it was, oh my gosh, who's going to touch the ball last, that they might not turn it over. But Carson Beck was pressured. He looked uncomfortable. The Texas secondary, I thought, played well. But there's no doubt that Georgia, if they'd gotten anything going in that first half, they could have burned Austin to the ground by halftime. And I think that's something that the Bulldogs absolutely have to clean up going forward. They played about as perfectly on defense as I think you could. Without that, maybe Texas loses by just one score. Maybe this is a field goal game, something like that. But Texas clearly needed some breaks to go their way. They got one with the officiating in a bizarre sequence, Trey, that you talked about on Sunday morning. But other than that, it was all Bulldogs in Austin.
Gary, this was the top story of the weekend, so I'll let you get your quick take in here. But what was your just very quick thought on Texas, Georgia?
Yeah, I kind of had a couple. So first off, Texas is a good football team. Nobody needs to doubt that. They're a good football team. But I'm going to stop at the word good, right? That's what I'm willing to do. They played a good football team in Georgia. And sometimes when good football teams play each other, they split those games, right? There's a lot of scenarios where Texas wins this game. There's also other ways that Georgia could have won this game. But I think it's kind of obvious at this point that, there was a massive overreaction. And that there has been up to this point in the season a massive overreaction to what we had been seeing out of Texas. And we had been crowning, and there are others in sports media crowning them the new Georgia. And I understand people like to walk back stuff that they maybe didn't say, but their thumbnail artist put up there. But you can't start saying things like that in 6 games of a season or 7 games of a season. You can't start crowning people the new Georgia when Georgia's got a couple championships in the last few years. Like let's pump the brakes a little bit on a good start against not a whole lot of competition, because right now Texas still doesn't have a great win over a very good team. They lost a game to Georgia that there's a lot of scenarios where they win that one, right? If Trey Wisner gets going a little bit better in that game, maybe they run the football, can balance their offense a little bit, get the pressure off of Quinn, and then they're off to the races. If Quinn plays a little bit better, if they don't switch to Arch in the middle, and maybe that had something to do with confidence. I don't know what it was, but something about that game didn't go well for the Texas Longhorns and did go well for the Georgia Bulldogs. But there's also another scenario in this where, maybe Carson Beck doesn't throw 3 picks and fewer than 200 yards. Maybe, some of those longer fields that they didn't get a chance to drive end up getting driven. And so they score a bunch more points, but also milk more clock and give Texas fewer opportunities to get their offense on the field. There's a lot of ways this game could go. These are 2 good teams. Neither of these teams strike me as particularly elite. I don't think you saw an elite team on that football field on Saturday night. Neither of these teams played a fantastic game, right? When you watched for a couple weeks ago talk Alabama, Georgia, those looked like 2 very good teams by the end of that game. Neither of these teams looked overly dominating. You can credit the defenses, and they played very well, but neither of these teams looked like, oh, these are the massive over-the-top dominating teams. There's no flaws. There's no gaps. There's no problems with these teams. These are 2 very good football teams, but that's where I'm going to stop. I'm not going to overreact to this. I could see either of these teams making it to Atlanta. I could see either of these teams winning the whole thing if everything goes right. but neither of these teams is a finished product right now, and I think that was obvious.
We're talking Texas, Georgia. If you're just joining us, that might be the Carson Beck that we get this year. I'm starting to get really concerned about his propensity to turn the football over. On the other side, Mitch, Quinn Ewers looked shell-shocked. And there's that viral meme of him and Arch on the sideline just looking like, man, welcome to the SEC, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on the state of Quinn Ewers and what Texas fans should expect from him going forward?
Listen, Quinn's a good quarterback. I don't think he's the first-round quarterback that many build him as coming into this season. And the reason that I point to is his continued struggles under pressure. Guys, every season that we've covered college football together, even going back to when Quinn was in high school, we pointed to the fact that he really struggled with his footwork when he was under pressure. When his pocket collapsed, it seemed like he got happy feet. Not unique to Quinn. A lot of quarterbacks struggle with that. I mean, it's, self-preservation at that point. But the best quarterbacks find ways to navigate the pocket and step up. And a comparison I'll draw, and I referenced this on Twitter earlier, was CJ Stroud. 2 seasons ago, what did I tell you CJ needed to do to improve his draft stock and become the quarterback that Ohio State needed him to? He needed to improve his footwork. He needed to stop looking at the line of scrimmage and look downfield. And that's what he did in his final season in Columbus. If Quinn can find a way to do some of the same, which, it's obviously the second half of the season, I'm not really expecting that kind of improvement. He's dealing with injuries. There's a lot going on, but that's the missing ingredient to Texas being an elite team to me. Again, I felt like the offensive line got blitzkrieg. That was the first time that they had seen anything like an elite pass rush, and they struggled, which surprised me. But Quinn is going to have to find a way to stand tall in the pocket and step up to deliver to what is one of the best treasure trove wide receiver gambits in the country.
Yeah, that offensive line, that was one of the most surprising things about the game for me. There's a lot of NFL talent on that Texas offensive line, and they just were not up to the task on Saturday night.
Gracious hip. How about